Have you ever really looked at some of the people that God uses and you think, how on earth did you choose them? Or how on earth did that person qualify? Or maybe you look at yourself and you think, God can't possibly use me. I've got a past, I've got history, I'm just a whole mess. I don't really read the Bible like that. I don't really pray like that. I'm not really trying to do this whole God thing right now. Or maybe you think, I don't have anything to offer God. I don't have anything that God could use in me. I think we've all gone through some element of that. And I think it's the human nature of us to think, how can a holy God, how can God supreme want to use me or someone like me? I've definitely gone through my fair share of conversations with God. You, maybe someone else, because there's always someone else, right? There's always someone better qualified, someone better suited, someone who just fits the role. Have you ever looked at someone and you think, yeah, that's the person that God should use? They talk really well. They look like they've got their stuff all together. They just look like somebody that God would use. And then you see the person that God actually uses and you're like, but God, did you not see that person? Or were they unavailable? What's the situation? I've had many conversations with God. I don't really talking, to be quite honest. And it's really weird to say because now I talk quite a lot, but I never used to really like talking like that. And I would always say to God, I don't really like talking. I don't really like being in public. I don't really like speaking like that. Why can't you just go and use somebody that is fluent in speaking or speaks really well or is like really eloquent or is naturally confident? Because I really want to be in the back. At that time, I didn't really want anybody looking at me. But the truth is, God chooses whom he chooses. And more often than not, the Bible shows us that most of the people that God chose, if not all, weren't the best qualified in terms of what we're looking at from a physical perspective. God doesn't do things based on the world's standard. He says in his word, my ways are higher than your ways and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts. So God works on a completely different standard to what men looks. So if you've been saying, God, I don't qualify, I'm not qualified to be used by you, then this video is for you because that's not true. There are so many things in the Bible, but I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that's in the Bible. You have people like David, who was a murderer. He committed adultery, but look how God used him. God was using prostitutes. He was using tax collectors, and the people that looked like those were the people that God would use, like the Pharisees, the religious leaders. God said, I've got nothing to do with you. God was out here using the people that they didn't look the part. And even when looking at the story of David, when God anointed David as king, Samuel went to David's house and there were a whole host of his siblings, his brothers that were there. And Samuel was like, surely this is the king. Surely this is the king. God was like, nope, nope, nope. And David wasn't even put into the bracket of people that would qualify to be king. His father didn't even invite him to the meeting. That's how much he wasn't considered to be anything. He was out tending the sheep, doing whatever David did back in the days, until Samuel said, is there anybody else? Do you have any other children? And then David's dad was like, oh yeah, like there is someone else. But can you imagine being like, not even the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth choice, like you are the very last choice. And when he came and the Lord said, that's the king. He was this scrawny, not even considered person. And God said, I don't look at the outward appearance. I look at the heart. You may not look the part. You may not feel the part. You may not think you're the part. But if God has chosen you, God has chosen you. Sometimes we don't see what God sees. You're looking at your now, God is looking at your future. God knows your future and you don't. So you think you're looking at your now when you're saying, there is absolutely no way God could use me. But God has seen ahead of you. He knows how you're going to change nations. You're going to do amazing things in your family. Like he's already seen that. And he's saying, okay, now is the time. And you're there like, but God, can you not see how much of a hot mess I am? And God is saying, no, I've chosen you. I have chosen you. So if you've been getting a tugging in your heart and you think there is no way God can use someone like me, let's quickly look at the story of Gideon in the Bible. And this is in Judges 6. And a bit of a backstory, and I'm really just going to summarize, but you can read the whole story in Judges 6. So at the time, the Midianites were essentially invading Israel. So every time the Israelites, the people in Israel, would plant their crops, the Midianites would come, will invade, and will destroy their crops and destroy their land. And in those times, your crops was your food. So they were struggling and going through a really tough time because of the Midianites. At this point, Gideon is hiding from the Midianites. He's out there trying to stay out of the way, trying to not get involved. He was like, I am not involved. He was completely out of the way. And it's interesting how the Bible actually tells us that he was hiding, because that's an essential part. Maybe you're just trying to live your best life, mind your own business. You don't want to be seen. You don't want to be heard. You don't want any of that. You're just trying to survive. You're trying to get by. You're minding your own business. You're hiding away. But God is saying, I'm knocking. I'm knocking at the door of your heart. Will you let me in? Anyway, so Gideon is hiding away, doing his thing. And the angel of the Lord appears to Gideon. He essentially says, a mighty man of valor. And then Gideon starts complaining, like, God, where are you? Where have you been? We're out here suffering. And we've heard about the amazing things that you did in the past. But are you going to let us perish in the hands of the Midianites? And the Lord replied, go in the spite of yours and you will save Israel because I'm sending you. Gideon's, hang on a minute, pause. Gideon's, you want to send me? He's like, how can I possibly save Israel? In the whole of Manasseh, my tribe, my clan is the weakest. Not only that, in my father's house, I am the weakest. I'm the youngest. And Gideon was this little scrawny little boy, bless him. And on the outward appearance, there was nothing, he didn't really have much going for him. And he knew that. That's why he was like, God, my tribe is the least. And in the least of the tribe, in my own family, I am the least. He was looking at his circumstances and he was saying, God, you're telling me to go save Israel from the Midianites. There is no way that you could possibly use me to do that. There is absolutely no chance, no way, because I can't. And he was looking at his own strength and in his own power. And how many of us do the same thing? God tells you to do something or gives you instructions and you think, Lord, there is no way. I can't do that. Look, what do I have going for me? What can I say? Who's going to listen to me? I'm the weakest. I can't speak. I'm not educated enough. My family don't come from a Christian background. Every excuse that you could say under the sun, Gideon said it. And the Lord said to Gideon, I shall surely be with you, and you shall defeat the Midianites as one man. So in his weakness, God didn't all of a sudden make him strong. In his weakness, God said, I will be with you. But not only will I be with you, because I am with you, you are going to defeat the Midianites as one man. So you have God partnered with one man, can destroy the Midianites, can defeat the Midianites. And that's all. He wants us to say yes. He says, yes, in your weakness. Yes, you're unqualified. Yes, you can't do it alone. But when I am with you, you can do anything and everything. And he went on to defeat the Midianites with God on his side. His circumstance didn't change. He was still the least of his tribe. He was still the least of his father's family. But what he did have is he had the Lord on his side. And when the Lord is on your side, when God has chosen you for something, he will enable you to do it. He will give you the strength. He will give you the resources. Maybe he's asked you to launch out and do something and you're thinking, but God, where would I get the finances from? Where would I even start? Who's going to listen to me? Where will I get the backing? Where will I get this? Or how am I going to do this? Or where's this going to come from? Or what if this happens? What if no one listens to me? All of that is irrelevant. The only thing that you need to know is God with you. And if the answer is yes, when he sends you to do something, he will provide the necessary resources for that thing to get done. So if God is with you, no one can be against you. So rest assured, yes, God can use you. Yes, you can do mighty and wonderful things with God on your side. Nothing is impossible to you, but you just have to say yes. You have to be willing, because God will never use or force himself on someone. That's not the kind of God that we serve. That's not how God is. He won't ever impose himself on you. He won't ever force himself on you. You have a choice, and you have to be willing, and you have to say in your heart, okay, God, I recognize that I don't have everything together. I recognize that I don't have the money, the resources, the backing. I don't have the family to support me, but I'm going to choose you, and I'm going to believe that you are with me because you've told me that I can do this. Not in my own power, not in my own strength or my ability, but I know that you're with me. And if God is with you, heaven is with you, and heaven has its whole own host of resources. So you're shifting your focus from what you can see in your own ability and shifting that to who God is and what God can do. If you read it throughout all the Bible, there are so many people that on the surface didn't qualify. If we look at Moses, God told Moses that I'm going to use you. And Moses was like, God, you don't hear me stutter, God? I am not eloquent in speech. I can't even. And God said, who created your mouth? That very thing that you're thinking, I can't do because. Is it your past? If you confess your sins, he's faithful and just, and he will forgive us of all our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. So your past is gone. So don't think that you can't be used by God because of your past. In fact, more often than not, he will use your past to reach other people that are in the same situation that you are in. And they will listen to your voice because you've been there. God's brought you out, and now you're on the other side. So don't hide. And don't be ashamed of your past. Ask for forgiveness. God will cleanse you, and he will heal you, and he will equip you and enable you to be used by him. He is looking for people that will say yes to his charge, that will say yes to being used by God. There is so much that needs to be done in the world, and God needs a vessel. So will you be his vessel today? If the answer is yes, all you have to do is say, yes, God, I am willing. Here I am. Use me despite my limitations, despite everything that I'm looking at that looks like it's just not going to work. The fact is, if God is on your side and if God is with you, then he will use you and equip you. No more excuses. No more saying, I can't because. Yes, you can. Because if God is with you, then you can. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to share it, to like it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got videos out every week. And be sure to say yes. What are you waiting for? See you in my next video.